Joe is a blonde, very young looking.
You're talking about the
face.
kickboxer.
I think,
you got to
yeah,
start
no.
in each corner.
I think some of Jeremy, is it Jeremy Gann?
Yeah, that's who you're thinking.
Is it,
Yeah.
that's who you're thinking of.
And he's from Drills? Okay.
And he's about the same weight too, so that makes sense. But
Now
no,
those guys are kickboxers. Who trains them in their MMA?
They've got somebody out of a place called Patriot that was working them for a while, Patriot MMA, and I don't know who else Frank's got. Frank Fisher's got working with them all.
when I was talking to Joey, that's what he said. He goes to Patriot.
Patriot.
He does jiu-jitsu, so. Like I said, I like him. I think he's
They're
going to move
fighters.
up. Yeah, I think he's going to move up in the, in the rankings and different stuff like that. And once he starts fighting some other guys, and I think he said he's 5-1 now. So that's a pretty good record. So, and I watched his one loss, and I guarantee if he fought the guy again, he'd
Yeah,
beat him.
his kickboxing record too is like 9-2. So I mean, he's had some scraps. So I mean, he's a good fighter, and he can go down to 120. Well, he's growing, so he's going to be that 135 or probably from now on. But
Yeah.
he could probably bleed himself down a little bit.
Yeah, because he was like, I'm ranked in the 125, and I've only fought 125 once. And I was like, well, it's better than Valdez. I don't think that kid's ever made 125, so,
Right.
so don't worry about it. So. But yeah, he looked good. I like him. I think he's going to be a good fighter in the future.
Let's introduce Steve Yount now. Steve is an instructor at CMMA. You're also an instructor under GoCar.
Go-kart on the level 5, under Go-kart there are 8 levels. On the level 4 instructor under Go-kart.
And that means you're able to give rank under GoCar?
Absolutely, ensemble.
Okay. And you also have been studying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You helped start CMMA a few years ago.
Jay and I go back a ways, absolutely. Before that, we were doing JKD, Larry Hartzell stuff, and then we got into with Hickson and the Gracies, Jay, in the late 80s?
Late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah, that's when we started Jiu-Jitsu.
Before they called it MMA. Before they
Oh, yeah.
called it all this.
Yeah.
It was just Jiu-Jitsu, huh? Was that before the first UFC that you
We
had the
were doing it,
Gracies
yeah.
come up?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting because most
Yeah.
of the people learned about the Gracies through the UFC.
UFC.
Nobody knew about them before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So was Hickson the first one that you had come up?
Out there.
Yeah.
He's the first one we brought to St. Louis. I've been with the Gracies for over 2 years out in California. I was studying with the Machados by
Yeah, I
that
was
time.
just about to
I
say.
had switched over to them because I thought it was a step up. Well, at that time it was because they
The
gave me more
Brazilian
personal
assassins
attention.
to St. Louis to kill
The
people.
Gracies were very elitist. Hickson wasn't. His school was very accessible and everybody else's, but by the time,
There's one of the Gracies now.
well, that didn't take long.
They're connected.
Wow.
This thing's not on, is it?
No,
Oh, good.
it's a dummy mic.
Because I sure seldom say any of that. No, Hickson was.
Hey, I wanted
Steve,
to.
bring the mic closer to you. We need you. They've got Greg on the line here. He says he can't hear you. He wants to feel some love. Come on.
Who was that, Grassley?
Hold on. We're going to put you on speaker.
Who is it?
Greg, who are you?
My name is Greg Grafton, trained with Steve out of Rising Sun Martial Arts, and trained with him a little bit over at Alpha Solutions Martial Arts.
Yeah.
All right. We'll say hi to Greg, Steve.
Huh?
Is he up in St. Louis?
No, he's in, Graz, you're in Houston, aren't you? Houston, Texas?
There's a 15-second delay, so he's going to have to hear you all the way on speaker. You're going to have to talk really loud.
No, Graz and his son Jordan and I have been training for several months, and
Speak up.
he's just, they just started in Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, and have come a long way in a very short time. Son Jordan is just down there in several Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and making a name for himself. And
Yeah, actually, I can hear Steve well in the background. Steve mentioned that we've been training for several months. I've been, I guess, for about a year now. My son Jordan, about 5 months. Steve's got him going into it just a whole hog. 5 tournaments in about 4.5 months. My son, the latest, the Atama Open here down in Houston, he did absolutely wonderful as a white belt. Totally dominated guys in the absolute, thanks to Steve.
I don't want to interrupt you, but does this mean we're like huge stars in Houston from the Ground and Pound show?
I think he knows about his cousin Steve. I'm not sure.
darn it. I figured that.
Well, Greg, tell us real quick while we got you on the line. You've been training with Steve for about a year now. What's it like training with Steve?
Well, I tell you, Steve, he's very unassuming. You see him, older, distinguished gentleman, but he grabs you.
You know how much that's going to hurt when he comes back to Houston, Greg? Hey, Hey, Greg, you know how much that's going to hurt when he comes back to Houston with that older, distinguished young man?
Believe me, I know.
He prefers young, sexy.
You're being choked by him more than once.
Oh, man, I think the chokeholds aren't so bad as the joint locks that he puts on. Those are like,
Oh, yeah. Ankles and knees, it all hurts.
Yeah. It's going to cause you some pain, man. So I know exactly
All I
what you
can
mean.
say, well, listen, thanks for letting me call in, Steve. Appreciate everything you're doing for the sport. All the advice. Guys down here in Houston asking about you all the time. And glad to hear that you're doing well and you're staying connected to the sport.
Good. Greg, I
Y'all take
appreciate
care.
you calling
Thank
in,
you so
man.
much.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's cool. It's nice when you text somebody and they respect you enough to pay attention to what's going on and wonder what you're doing.
There's a lot of good schools in Houston. When I first went down there, I trained under Alvis Elise, who graduated now back up here. He's training with Alvis. Alvis has been under Carlos Machado, and I received my purple belt under Carlos some time ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Good schools. Travis Took was trained, did a lot of training in Brazil. I trained with Travis, and then he's got a very nice school as well in Tomball, Texas. And
You train with the Gracies down there too, under Hoist
yeah,
Gracie?
Hoist through Pat Harding, who's in Beaumont, Texas, and Randall Ebar, who's a black belt. Randall and Jason Ebar. They've done very well in jiu-jitsu. They're brothers. They do a great job teaching, great fundamentals as far as schools. Because I'm just convinced in jiu-jitsu sambo, you have to work on and be focused on fundamentals. You don't see in all the UFCs and all this flying arm bars, all this stuff. It comes down to you get tapped on basic stuff. Keisakatamis, arm bars, just basic chokes. And it comes down to how to put it on and how to defend against it. And you have to be repetitious over and over again. And I think the types of schools with Travis Took and Alvis Elise and Pat Harding and the Ebar brothers, they teach that over and over again. I was fortunate to work with all of them. Again, Carlos is through Alvis, Travis is through Carlson Gracie, and then the Ebars are through Hoist.
So you're really getting a ton of exposure down
A lot
there,
of
too.
exposure, a lot of
Brazilians.
a
and
lot
then-
of Brazilians, exactly.
Do you usually go out to California if you're going to train with go-kart? Does he come down there? I know
No.
you do seminars with him.
We do, and that's pretty much what I have to do. I have to go to him. I went to Kentucky, went to Buffalo, New York to train with Goker. But that's interesting as well. It's like training with Hickson.
I was going to say, you had mentioned that some really high-level people go to go-karts.
Yeah,
The
they
highest
do.
level people go
Yeah,
to go-kart
well-
when they want to learn something.
When they want to hone their art, they go to Goker. So that's just, he's on a different level totally. If you've never had the experience to roll with him, I think you've trained with him, haven't you, Andy?
I got to go to a seminar, but he had the groin injury at the time, so he wasn't rolling. Gene LaBelle was beating everybody up that day.
Oh, Gene, yeah.
And he had Mike and his brother. What's Mike's brother's name, Jay? Do you remember?
Mike Singer.
Yeah, Mike Singer and his brother. I can't think of his brother's name. Great guy.
Hmm.
And LaBelle was just tearing those guys apart that day. And they were having a great time
Oh, yeah.
being center
How
stage.
long ago was that?
3 or 4 years ago.
How
maybe?
old was Gene then, probably?
Oh, my
70.
gosh.
And he was celebrating.
Oh, no, he was over 70.
Was he over 70 back then?
I'm sure.
I wouldn't
He
fight
very
him.
well may have been. He was up there.
Goker's an exceptional
But he
athlete.
rolled incredibly well.
Oh, they still do. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing what they do.
So.
So,
One of the things I know you were talking about is hopefully being able to bring go-kart to St. Louis for some seminars.
yes, I'm gonna, through Kenny Erickson, who used to train here in CMA with Jay, and I think you know Kenny.
Sure, I know Ken.
Yeah,
I've trained
yeah.
with him several
Kenny's
times.
a level 7 as far as instructors, and we're going to try and bring Goker in probably early spring. I have to work with him on that, but Kenny talked to Goker about it. Goker's excited about coming in. I was actually going to bring him in Houston, but again, Andy, now that I moved up here, we're going to bring him back into St. Louis. So I think that would be exceptional. I think it's going to be 30 slots. It's going to be kind of first come, first serve. I'm not going to open it up to everybody because I think Goker's realized over time that he can't be all things to all people, and he wants it to be more focused. So with that, he's going to just offer 30 slots to train with him, and then, like I said, first come, first serve, and he'll go from there.
Oh, that's a great way to do it. Because
Yeah.
I agree, when you have 100 people in a seminar, what are you going to get?
Yeah.
If you're limited to 30, you're going to get some real value from the seminar. I think that's great.